The U.S. just captured Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife, and the real reason is shocking. Officially, the Trump administration says the attack on Venezuela was about alleged drug trade into the U.S. Trump even accused President Maduro of involvement in drug trafficking. But when you look closer, most of these crops actually come from Colombia, Peru, and Panama, and not from Venezuela. But this is where it gets interesting. They told you the strike was about drugs, but in Venezuela, there's something far more valuable than any other crop: oil. Also, one of the main reasons behind the U.S. strike is Venezuela's growing ties with Russia and China. Caracas is coordinating with Moscow and Beijing on energy, infrastructure, and major economic projects, turning the country into a forward base for rival powers, something the U.S. will never allow. Maybe the story about drugs is just a cover to justify the attack. The truth is about power, money, and control, the things humans have craved since day one. Venezuela sits on vast oil reserves and is building alliances with Russia and China. What's really happening goes far beyond what they are telling you.
And you heard the new doctrine from Trump last week. Oh, yes, we need to take out their ballistic missiles. Well, that means you can hit targets anywhere in the country. So now we're not talking about taking out the nuclear sites. Now it's this wide open ballistic missile situation. Israel with the United States and with Turkey has taken out all of Israel's enemies that have any real power other than Iran. And of course, the Saudis don't like Iran either. And I predict if Israel with the U.S. is able to overturn Iran, they'll do something like break it in a couple pieces and give some radical Islamic group control of a part of it. Then we'll be at war with them in 5 years. Just like Israel created Hamas and put them in charge of Gaza and admitted they did it to destabilize things. I'm sick of this crap. And I come to it from a well-researched, very pragmatic position. I don't want to blow up Iran. I don't want to blow up Israel. I don't hate the Persians. I don't hate the Jews. But I do hate the American empire that's been there for 100 years, really, along with the British Empire, sucking us into this, and then open our borders up and bringing in the uncompatible, most radical forms of Islam to then balkanize our country, and who have incredible chips on their shoulders because of the things we've been doing over there. So I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I know, talking to General Flynn on and off air, he's worried about this Iran situation. He's worried about Venezuela. He wouldn't cry himself to sleep at night if Maduro got removed. He is a brutal dictator, but it's another quagmire. It's bigger than Texas. We could get sucked into a new Vietnam. It's just got so many problems. And I see listeners, they go, we're confused. You say you overall support regime change, but you can't trust it. It's too dangerous, so you don't. You can understand that, right? It's like the doctors. Yeah, grandpa needs this triple bypass, but he's 80 years old, and people die about half the time with one of these, so the surgery's too dangerous. Like, we support doing the bypass, but you can't. Now, the point is that Trump ran on peace, and he has done a good job in many areas. He's trying to shut down the big one with Russia and Ukraine. But Israel and Netanyahu just have so much undue influence, and it's wrong. And now Israel has doubled down and officially called to repeal the First Amendment of the United States. You talk about a foreign power meddling in our internal affairs. This is outrageous. And now Netanyahu has come out in the last 2 months. He did it again last week. And so there's an 8-front war now, not just fighting the Muslims, but fighting in America to censor people. And again, everybody knows I don't have a hard-on for Israel. I don't sit around and go, oh, look, they did something bad again. Yay. I don't think it's the center of the universe. I don't think Israel's the only country that can do evil. I'm not an apologist for Israel either. But a lot of the anti-Israel crowd, the Islamicists and the Nazis, and man, they just lie and they're anti-Western and hate me. So I just call balls and strikes here. But now Israel and its lobbies are openly calling for the repeal of the First Amendment. I mean, point blank. And so I posted about this morning, and immediately I had the Israel worshipers, mainly Christian Zionists with their brigades, saying I'm a liar and Netanyahu doesn't want this and I'm with the Muslims and I'm just stop it. Just stop. I mean, if you go look at my feeds on Rumble or X or InfoWars anywhere, I'm literally attacked by all the Nazis. I'm attacked by the Muslims. I'm attacked by the Israel First lunatics. And all I'm trying to do is just not have a nuclear war. And Israel has no business saying repeal your First Amendment for your own safety, which I have clips of their main cyber czar, the godfather of their modern system in NSA, the former head of the 8,200 group, literally saying it's time to get rid of the First Amendment. I mean, just, good Lord. And it's at the same time, all these other governments and groups are pushing it. So here's the Israeli NSA head saying, repeal the First Amendment for our own safety.
I mean that we need to control the platforms and take control over what they are saying. So AI is going to revolutionize cyber warfare, is revolutionizing cyber warfare from critical infrastructure to the fabric of society and politics, and undermining it, giving unfair advantage to authoritarian governments against democratic countries, First Amendment type of...
That's already happening?
That's already happening. You're seeing the polarization in countries that allow for the First Amendment and protect it, which is great. And I know it's difficult to hear, but it's time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late. I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms. We need to stack rank the authenticity of every person that expresses themselves online, and take control over what they are saying based on that ranking.
The government.
The government should
control the social media.
Yeah, should do that. And we need to educate people against lies, and government need to develop cyber defense programs that are as sophisticated as the cyber attack. Today it's a 1 to 100 ratio. You need to use technology in order to stabilize the political system. So this is an urgent need by the government to do that. And until then, enterprises are buying by themselves more and more cybersecurity solutions, but they can't afford all these solutions by themselves. So they are looking for ways to deliver a more efficient consumption. That drives really the next generation of companies such as Wiz, CrowdStrike, Cato networks on the network that are platforms and are able to deliver this extended need for security in an affordable way.
Mira, pero ven acá, no se metan para acá, no sabemos qué hay ahí que se queda pegado. Sí. Night, ¿qué se dice? Buenas noches, ¿no? Night, Happy New Year.
Think he's in that armor?
Got it. Probably on the Bearcat.
I think so, bro.
Why Venezuela? That's the question, right? Trump said no new wars, yet here we are. So why Venezuela? It's not the oil. We produce somewhere in the ballparks of 14 million barrels a day. They only do 700,000. So it's not the oil. And the drugs, they were going to Europe, so it's not the drugs. If it's not the oil, and it's not the drugs, maybe it's this.
A firm owned by Venezuela could be allowed to take over one of this country's top voting machine firms. Venezuela, of course, led by Hugo Chavez, working to change the views of most South American countries, moved to the left. Critics of the deal say our nation's very democracy is now for sale, without anyone doing a thing about it. Giddy Pilgrim reports.
The use of some 19,000 electronic voting machines in the city of Chicago and Cook County primary on March 21st of this year is now under intense scrutiny. The U.S. company that makes the machines, Sequoia, was bought in 2005 by Smartmatic, a private company primarily owned by Venezuelan businessmen. When Chicago had problems with the machines, a dozen Venezuelan employees were there to help with the election. Chicago officials are outraged.
I think that American elections ought to be run by American companies and ought to be run by American citizens, not Venezuelan nationals.
Smartmatic is technically based in Boca Raton, Florida, but the president of the company, Jack Blaine, testified to the Chicago City Council. Fewer than a dozen Smartmatic employees work in Florida. The majority of the workers are based in Venezuela. Watchdog groups question why U.S. voting machines would be under the control of citizens of another country, especially a country whose own election process is highly suspect.
We believe this is a national security issue. There is no way that companies belonging to non-U.S. corporations should have access to our elections.
The Treasury Department is supposed to monitor sales of U.S. companies to overseas investors where there is a question of national security, such as in the Dubai ports deal, the so-called CFIUS review process. Some in Congress are demanding an investigation.
In the case of Smartmatic, there are a number of unanswered questions. That's why I wrote to the Secretary of the Treasury and asked them to review the ownership. It's offshore, it's murky, no one seems to know who owns it. Certainly our government should know.
A potential risk to the democratic process.
Wow!